Chapter 1, From Schools to Test Factories, the never-ending pursuit of test scores. Most parents are aware that there's too much testing going on in schools, but what's less known and more controversial is what is actually being tested and how much weight is given to the testing of trivial skills that eat up most of class time. Let's have a look by examining my grade, the best grade, kindergarten. You look at this word and recognize it's the word the, but how do you know it's the word the? Well, you recognize the letters, T, H-E, in that order. I promise this is going somewhere. So kids learn letter names so they can recognize words by the letters in them. We can also say that the quicker you recognize letters in a word, the easier it is to recognize the word. Accuracy and speed matter. Nothing controversial so far, but here's a question. How much speed should be expected of a 5-year-old? This is a common assessment or test you'll see in kindergarten where the student names as many letters in a minute as they can. Please note, folks, that testing in itself is not a bad thing. Testing/assessing tells us what a student knows and what they still need to learn. When you read with your kid at home and make note of words they miss so you can practice later, that's a good assessment. It really is just good teaching. But our expectations of performance can sabotage a test. Kindergartners are expected to get over 50 letter names in a minute, which will require practicing speed all year long. To get students ready for state standardized tests in later grades, district admin can choose what test to use for prepping, and more so can manipulate expectations of how high test scores should be. If every kindergartner is expected to name over 50 letter names in a minute by the end of the year, the teachers will have no choice but to spend long amounts of time just test prepping all year long. Teachers will give the same tests in the fall, winter, spring, and end of the year, each time with higher test score expectations from the district. More so, teachers will have to progress monitor any student not meeting district expectations. This basically means practicing the same test every week until the student is caught up. The specific nature of these tests and skills means that there really is no fun way to practice. To get over 50 letter names by the end of the year, when timed for 1 minute, a kindergartner basically has to practice speed with either flashcards or an actual test. Especially for academically struggling students, this can mean practicing several times a week all year long with 5-year-olds. Note so far that we've only been talking about one test in just one grade. There are endless examples in grades all over and plenty more kindergarten examples. Let's look at letter sounds now. A kindergartner doesn't recognize the word cat right away, so they blend the letter sounds together to say the word k-a-t, cat. Just like with letter names, speed and accuracy are important, and the same test can be used to see how many letter sounds they can get in a minute. Nothing controversial with this test so far. Enter district admin. Every kindergartner, 5-year-olds, are expected to do 45 letter sounds in a minute. Though not impossible, there's many kinders who will struggle because they just go at a slower pace, even though they know all their letter names and sounds. Regardless, a teacher will spend their whole year chasing whatever magical number the bar is set at. Admin will state that the testing and the high bar set for scores are only there to help teachers and students, but please believe that admin will come down hard on any school not meeting expectations. Interestingly, the outrageously high test score expectations that admin have cannot be questioned. Why? Because of the R word, a swear word for teachers that only big kids, district admin, get to use. What's this word? Research. Whatever decisions admin make are always backed by the research. When they do it, research supports it. Dissenting opinions are not backed by research. Admin decide what qualifies as credible research. You could be a 30-year veteran teacher and still have all your experience pushed aside while admin talk about an article they Googled last night that, of course, confirms what the district is doing, but rest assured, admin are quick to share the articles that confirm their beliefs. Read as much as you want though, but you won't find any justification for demanding every kindergartner getting 45 letter sounds in a minute and over 50 letter names. So where do the magic numbers come from? The magic numbers often come out of nowhere because the bar set only needs to be higher than the last bar to be accepted under the usual banner of higher expectations. To be fair, Admin can usually point to credible district data that shows older students struggling because of some of the skills they missed in earlier grades. Thus, admins say that focusing on these specific skills along with high expectations will surely solve the problem, except that you now have every grade dedicating all time and resources to teaching a few specific skills. School is now officially a test score factory. Any teacher's fun and engaging lesson plans will be sporadic at best, as teachers are in a never-ending horse race to show test score results, only to take the same test next month with the bar raised even higher. There's almost no fun way to practice or train for these tests. So it's basically drill and kill. For many parents, this isn't new, as they've heard about it plenty of times at home. By now, anyone can see what nonsense this all is. But let's show some examples of real nonsense. P, E, V, pev, t, of, tov, s, Aj, Saj. Welcome to Nonsense Words. That's the actual name. Admin expect every kindergartner to do at least 15 nonsense words in a minute. This is up from 12 last year. That's right, test score demands went up during a COVID year when half the year or more was on an iPad. Like letter names and sounds, nonsense words do actually have a point. Rather than having kids read easily recognizable words like mom, dad, cat, dog, nonsense words show if a student can sound out an unknown word. But the speed that students need to actually get over 15 nonsense words in a minute means they can't afford to make one mistake while they perfectly sound out words they've never heard before. 5-year-olds are doing this. Folks, rather than just considering how much practice and prepping a teacher would have to do for just this one test, let's also consider all the other subjects and lessons that aren't being taught throughout the year because of a lack of time. Though this video is focused on just kindergarten, particularly in my neck of the woods in my schools in district, the same obsessive test prepping is true for other grades, schools, and districts all over. The amount of damage that this does to students and teachers is almost as shocking as how easily admin continue to get away with it. But let's change gears here and see how this looks if we were to apply district admin tactics to, of all things, sports. Instead of Mr. B, I'm now Coach B. I coach your kid's team. Let's say soccer. The soccer club our team is in has Coach B using these new and innovative strategies where I record all sorts of data during practices, like how fast and far they kick the ball, how fast they run the 40, and many other skills. Each week, Coach B emails parents with updated data showing how much players have improved at these specific skills. The parents love it. But soon, actual games start, and the team is getting absolutely smoked. It's not just that they're losing, but they're not playing together as a team at all. Individually, they have a lot of skills, but those skills don't seem to be transferring to actual games. Coach B goes to the admin of the soccer club and explains that he spends all practice just trying to record data, but the team needs experience scrimmaging and practicing in real game situations. Admin won't budge an inch. They restate that the data is necessary to show growth, but they explain to Coach B without a hint of hypocrisy that they aren't forcing Coach B to scrimmage, but it's up to the coach to find time for this while balancing data collection. Sure enough, the season goes on and things get worse. The parents and players are mad and don't care about the data anymore. A few parents go to the soccer club's admin and are told that the system actually works. It's just Coach B's fault for not implementing it right. The season drags to an end, and Coach B quits in disgrace, having taken the blame for everything. But the story doesn't end there. The whole soccer club ends up folding as more teams experience the same problems. Players end up leaving for other clubs. But sure enough, this club's admin find it easy to get hired by another soccer club, as they can show all this positive data in their interview of how much improvement there was on individual skills. The record of their former club isn't even brought up in the interview, let alone statements from former coaches, players, and parents. History is forgotten, and with no consequences, it's just another round of musical chairs until admin leave to save another club/district. Let's shift our focus back to school expectations. There's nothing wrong with having high expectations for academics, as long as expectations are backed by new and innovative teaching methods that empower teachers and students. You can't just raise the bar for everything while demanding conformity and expect test scores to magically go up. I believe it was Einstein who defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over but expecting different results. In this sense, if schools are test factories, then admin buildings are loony bins. District admin know to never let the facts get in the way of the truth, and the truth is whatever admin want it to be. Reality itself is suspect, as the district knows that reality has a well-known teacher bias. Interestingly, parents too have a bias towards accepting reality. Parents can think of a million other things they'd rather have their kid learn in school than spending the year training to pump out 15 nonsense words in a minute. It's to admin's advantage that most parents don't know how much this testing is happening and how much weight it carries. This goes far beyond standardized tests. The curriculum itself has changed so much that kindergarten is teaching now what was taught in first grade about 10 years ago, and even what might have been taught in second grade 20 years ago. Introducing everything earlier doesn't actually increase learning in most cases. Consider the example of a parent who has high expectations for their 3-year-old to be riding a bike early. This parent decides that their kid will be riding without training wheels at age 4. So as soon as their kid turns 4, the parent takes off the training wheels for good. It's a disaster. The 4-year-old is just not ready. They're constantly falling, getting hurt, and not making any progress. The kid won't even go near a bike now, even when the parent finally agrees to put the training wheels back on. But the parent did have the best of intentions. But the best of intentions can, of course, have the worst results. Teachers even see this in our standards, which can be thought of as a guide for what each grade should teach. It's the reason I teach the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s with my kinders, as opposed to advanced calculus. Most states used to have their own state-specific standards for what's taught in each grade. Many states have adopted the Common Core standards, which aimed for a unification in standards. Without turning this into a book report, we can say that the Common Core had some successes, but one of the continued criticisms is it just brought the bar up in every grade and introduced everything earlier. The idea was, if everything was introduced earlier and systematically followed through, then students would be reading and doing other subjects at a college level by high school. But, just like taking the training wheels off early, there's been the same issues, and the issues continue to build. Let's say you're a 5th grade teacher, and half your kids read at a 2nd grade level. You're spending the whole year trying to catch them up 3 whole grade levels, while still teaching and testing 5th grade material, which is actually more like 6th grade material of a few years ago. Good luck with that. By the way, middle and high school teachers can confirm it only gets worse as the years go on. This is true for all grades. From even the first day of kindergarten, you're in a race to catch up kids who are behind others while getting kids prepped for first grade. Every grade is treated like a prepping station for the next grade. More so, preschool through 2nd is treated as nothing but a training ground for state standardized tests that usually start in 3rd grade and go to 8th. 3rd grade teachers in particular get the honor of taking the blame for everything from birth to now, 3rd grade, as their class takes state standardized tests that are so weighted that they even affect property value in local neighborhoods. Go to a realtor website. Wherever you're searching for homes, you can click on nearby schools to see their school rating. The ratings are almost exclusively based on one state standardized test for grades 3 through 8. A school could be filled with veteran teachers, yet the school's only rating is based on one test. And please believe that low school scores can depreciate property value, which creates incentive for school board members to find a no excuses superintendent who will get the test scores as high as countries like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, etc. Never mind the fact that these countries' success is because they do the exact opposite of us. They have less testing, less or no homework, better funding and teacher pay, more class options in later grades, more student choice, and more creative freedom and respect for teachers. Imagine that. Folks, I'm going to end this chapter by noting something we didn't even talk about. Behavior. With all the issues brought up, we've only been focusing on academics, which as you can see is hard enough. But what happens when you add in the major behavior issues that teachers all over have dealt with, often on a daily/hourly basis? We'll turn to this in our next chapter.